Hi everyone. At what age do you think it's too late to get a tattoo? Perhaps some of you will say that you shouldn't get a tattoo at all. Others will say that when you're an adult and you have a family, tattooing something on your body is stupid. But listen to my story and you'll understand that unpredictable situations happen. My name is Tim and I live in Rome. I was born in Russia, but when I turned 12, my mother and I moved to Italy. Here, she opened her own music store, which sold various instruments and accessories as well as discs with songs and concert recordings. The store was popular among our fellow citizens living in Italy because we always had a large stock and new stuff of different genres. I listened to contemporary music and I liked Russian performers. When I heard my native speech, I felt so warm inside, like I was back home in my yard with my friends. I especially liked Morgenstern's songs. His style is the best. I watched his music videos over and over again, dressed like him, and even adopted his manner of speaking. Needless to say, my whole room was covered in his posters, which my mother didn't like very much. She expressed her complaints a few times, but I did not change my musical preferences, and my mom soon left me alone. Our life in Italy was slow and steady until this story happened. Mom had a close friend, Viola. They often spent time together. One day, Viola invited Mom to go on a vacation to the sea. Mom gladly agreed and had already started packing her suitcase. She bought a summer dress, a hat, a beautiful swimsuit. When she was trying on new clothes in the mirror, she suddenly sat down on the bed, and I passed by and saw her sad face. When I asked what happened, my mom said that she was embarrassed by a large scar on her shoulder, which she got from a burn in her teen years. Before this, she was not very worried about it, but now, when she began to grow old and her face was showing signs of age, she began to be more critical of herself and her appearance. I don't know how women work, but I knew that for them, wrinkles and other skin imperfections are a big problem of universal scale. In order to distract my mom somehow, I jokingly said that a scar can be painted over and covered up or even by a tattoo. Saying this, I laughed, and my mom suddenly jumped from the bed and said, "Yes, exactly, I'll get a tattoo on the scar." There was no limit to my surprise. Just so you know, my mom is a little over 40 and she kind of is a bit too old for a tattoo. I wanted to turn everything into a joke and she said I was kidding. But my mom is the type of person who does what she wants. So in short, she really liked the idea and did not even want to hear my attempts to change her mind. Mom began to search online for different tattoo designs and sketches. At first she wanted a hieroglyph and some romantic quote. And in the end, she decided to get a tattoo depicting her favorite actor, Robert De Niro. Can you imagine? Not even a picture of her son, but some other man on her body. God, I was so surprised at my own mother. I even thought that she might actually have been a little off-ish. This is just between us. I was strictly against all this, but my mom showed me an issue of the magazine that she receives in my mail in Russia every month, and showed a photo of Robert De Niro nude. Yes, there was a photo of this actor in his youth. I acted not impressed, and my mother said that she was just frustrated as I was. She tore out a page in the magazine and said that she was going to get a tattoo parlor right then and will ask them to tattoo that very image. Then she said that I was her son, who would love to have his mother with any tattoo, even if she had a cabbage pie tattooed. This comparison amused me. Then I just laughed. Mom waved her hand at me and left. And I just had to wait for her, and believe me, the wait was worth it. Mom came in the evening and admitted that the tattoo was very painful, and she could barely bear it. She had a large plaster on her shoulder that covered the tattoo, and Mom said the next day it could carefully remove it to see the final result. The next morning, my mom asked me to help her remove the plaster. I went up to her, and when I took off the bandage, I just froze in shock. Morgenstern himself looked at me on my mom's shoulder. Yes, that was him. Even his nails were painted. I turned to my mom and thanked her for loving me so much. And so she would put her son's favorite idol tattoo on her shoulder. Mom did not understand what I was talking about. Then she ran to the mirror, and for the next 5 minutes, all I could hear from the bedroom were loud screams and bad words. She came running and screaming loudly. What the hell was Morgenstern doing on her shoulder? She showed the tattoo master, De Niro. Where is De Niro? Where is De Niro? Mom screamed, running around the room. I gave the master of the page. I said that I wanted the particular portrait. Barely stopped from laughing. I said that maybe he was somewhere on vacation in Los Angeles and Morgenstern apparently replaced him. Mom burst into tears and went into her room. After that, I realized how bad she felt, not understanding how the tattoo artist could have messed up like this. I went to the table where my mom's bag lay, and next to it was on that very page from the magazine, so there was Robert De Niro in the photo on the other side. However, I saw an interview with Morgenstern and lots of photos of different angles. I realized that the master just mixed up the pictures. What could we do? I knocked on my mom's door, but she didn't open it. Through the closed door, I explained the situation and said that after a while, you could remove the tattoo with a laser, and instead of it, make it any other drawing she wanted. Mom opened the door and looked at me in frustration. Tim, I'm 42 years old. I'm a mother of a teenage boy. I listen to music of the 90s. How did I get a Morgenstern? You get it. I need to have my tattoo removed urgently. Mom called her friend and simply refused to fly anywhere. I told my mom that I would look for places where they could touch it up. I took a photo of the tattoo and started sending it to places that did tattoo removal. All unanimously said that you needed to wait at least a month. I don't think my mom would be satisfied with such an answer. After spending some time doing research, I decided to visit Morgenstern's Instagram profile. I was so surprised when I saw a huge competition of who would come up with the most creative birthday to congratulate to him, and that the main prize was a trip to the Maldives for two. Without hesitation, I posted a photo of my mom's shoulder with his photo tattooed on it and tagged the artist. And can you do it? And you will not believe what happened. I received hundreds of comments, posts, and in a couple of hours, the photo with the tattoo went viral. And in the evening, Morgenstern's agent messaged me, saying that this was a truly creative birthday present and the singer personally appreciated the creation. The next day, the followers voted for my photo and the most. When we won the trip, I was so excited happy to see the win. I ran to share the news with my mom. Mom did not believe me until she saw the photo and thousands of likes with her own eyes. We laughed and thanked the tattoo artist, thanks to whom my mom and I'll be flying to the islands. And also my mom said that now she does not want to remove the tattoo. And she actually started liking it. Leave us your thoughts down below and I'll go pack my bags. If you liked the video, then press the like button. Don't forget to subscribe.
Hello, I'm Lena. I want to tell you about my mom and our not-so-ordinary relationship. First, I will tell you how I saw it so that you understand my feelings, and then everything else will follow. I was born into an average family, and at the time, I had both mom and dad. We lived modestly, but I liked everything because my parents worked hard for it. I went to elementary school, and in general, we had enough to live on. We went to parks and bought and gave each other gifts for every holiday, and everything was great until something broke in the relationship between my parents. It was terrible to watch the marriage of my parents collapse. It seemed like everything was fine, and why would they not continue living peacefully as they did? But as a child, they did not tell me about their adult problems, so I often found out everything after it happened. They never told me what kind of decisions they've made or were going to make, and this is how I found out about their divorce. Believe it or not, I still don't know the official reason for the divorce and can only guess about it. I remember the day when they went to the court and decided something there. It was terrible. I was sitting in another room on a chair and just cried. For a long time, I could not recover from this and calm down, and it seemed to me that it was one big prank over me, or rather, I wanted it to be so. But that was not the case. My mom told me that I will live with her now and that we have to move to another place. My father came up to me after the trial and said that he loved me very much, and then he also said that now we will not see each other as often as before, and that upset me as well. As soon as we got home, my mother quickly packed up our things and then threw everything into the car. She gave me 5 minutes to say goodbye to my dad. I hugged him as if it was the last time, and I'm glad that I did that, because after that moment, I saw him only a few times in a couple of years. For the first while, my mother and I lived in hotels, and then we finally arrived to another city where my mother rented an apartment for us. She decided that this is how a new life should begin. My mom said that now everything would be different for us, and therefore I should be as close to her as possible. It sounded kind of strange to me because we had just gone through a divorce, and at that moment I wanted to hear other supportive words. In the end, I did not get any of that. Yes, this is how our new life began. My mother got a job and came home in the evenings, at which time I was already home from school and I was doing my homework. She usually left some frozen food for me to eat in the fridge. She stopped cooking at home completely after the divorce, so now I could only dream about homemade food. My days at school and after school were more like Groundhog Day. That is, I did the same thing every day. Everything was predictable and dull. I went to school, came home, had lunch, and then studied until my mom came from work. And after dinner, I went to bed, and that's it. And you know what was shocking? My mother had changed a lot, and she was no longer the same person as before. She became completely different. Well, for example, as I said, before she would not have allowed me to eat frozen foods. She always cooked meals herself every day and carefully picked the meals for the family. And at dinners, she would always ask me and my dad about our days. And in the afternoons, when I was doing my homework, she would always help me. And then everything changed dramatically. I noticed more and more that my mom, coming home from work, would always be on her phone, while eating, when she was taking baths, and even in the toilet. She barely paid attention to me, except when she offered to go shopping with her. My mom completely changed her style. She began to actively use social media and became friends with all my friends. Almost every day at school, I would hear about how cool my mother was, that she was so modern and so up-to-date with everything, always aware of all the latest gossip and news, and knew how to use social media and so on. And now I was kind of in her shadow. I understood that I was gradually losing my mother, and instead of her, I was gaining an excellent roommate. Sometimes my mother would even invite me to go out to clubs with her, or vice versa. She would drive me there herself. I felt very weird at such moments. And although my friends were jealous, it seemed to me that all this was just not right. I lost my father, and I did not want to lose my mother right under my nose. In the end, I decided that something had to be done about it. And I came up with one plan. Since my mother did not care about anything at all and she no longer wanted to be my mother, then she would be for me what she wanted, my friend. I waited until my mother had a day off and intentionally stayed home that day. I was watching her moves. Mom ordered us pizza and then selected a TV show to watch. She would have never let me eat and watch TV at the same time. I dressed in a comfy outfit and sat down next to her, took a bite, and then took out cigarettes. My mom almost choked but did not pretend that she was surprised or disappointed. By the way, I actually do not know how to smoke and never have tried it in my entire life. But my plans were worth it. I took out a cigarette and somehow lit it in front of her and then asked her to bring me an ashtray. My mom just sat there and watched me smoke. I took my glass and barely shook off the ashes. Then I said that I'd been wanting to talk to her like a friend for a while, and my mom was listening closely. Basically, I met a guy a month ago and fell in love with him. I began. My mom was very happy to hear this. She said that love was a great feeling. But I said that it was not only about feelings. Well, what else? She asked, and then I said that I was supposedly pregnant. At that moment, my mom coughed at her pizza bite. I suddenly saw a familiar expression on her face, the emotions of a restless mother, her excitement, her worries, and fear. There it is, I thought. After all, this is what I wanted. To wake up in her my mother again. My mom tried her best not to break loose and start yelling at me, and I provoked her even more. She asked what kind of a guy he was and where did I get the impression that I was pregnant. And I said that it was not the first time that I had to deal with this. And I said that I would remove the child again because I did not want any children. Will you give me the money? Because he kind of has problems with the law. Well, he's actually in prison, so he cannot help me. I told her. Her eyes widened with shock. She was silent for a while and then exploded. And I finally heard the familiar scream. My mother was furious, screaming that she would find him and put him in prison, that I was grounded forever, that I was completely mad, that I could not have any more cigarettes, nights out with friends, and so on. And you know, as she was screaming at me, I sat there and smiled. It was so funny. And I was thrilled to listen to her screams because I missed it so much. And at that moment, my mom suddenly fell silent, and then she asked why I was laughing. And I said that I just missed my mother and that I was glad to see her again. Yeah, a few minutes later, she found out that it was all a joke and that nothing like this ever happened. Then my mom asked why I came up with such a joke, and then she explained her behavior by saying that she did not want to be one of those obsessive parents. It seemed to her that the more freedom she gave me, the better it would be for me, but everything turned out differently. Well, long story short, I got my mom back, and then I talked to her, and she actually allowed my dad to come visit me on the weekends and to spend time together. I was really happy about that. Everything is just so much better when your parents play their part and do not pretend to be someone else. Well, don't you think, guys? If you like this story, then press the thumbs button and leave us some comments down below. Don't forget to subscribe.